Home Depot doesn't have sales because we have an everyday low price.
The competitors have to have the sales because they jack their prices.
Hurricane Earl making landfall in the Florida Panhandle at the present time. The eye is still offshore, but it's rather academic as to when that gets on shore. Most of the hurricane is out to the east. I'm Dave Schwartz with this special edition of Weather Center, where we're highlighting Hurricane Earl, plus severe weather in the northeast, the southwest, and your forecast for tomorrow. Let's have a look at this hurricane and find out where it's going and what kind of weather we can expect here in Florida, parts of Alabama, and Georgia. You can see that the general circulation in here has been moving to the northeast or east-northeast, and that's posing a major problem for our friends out here from actually just to the east of Pensacola all the way over to Panama City, and then especially down toward Apalachicola, Port St. Joe, and then right around the Big Bend in here toward Cross City and Tampa, mainly north of Tampa. That's where the problems will be. And here in northern Florida, there are reports of tornadoes. So we've got a major problem here. And for some expert analysis, we turn to Dr. Steve Lyons, our hurricane expert, one of them here at the Weather Channel. We're so glad to have you here at this time of year. And just over the last 2 weeks, we've had 4 new tropical systems formed since Tropical Storm Alex.
Right on schedule with the peak in the hurricane season coming up here in another week or 2.
Okay, let's have a look at this from our satellite perspective and then talk about who's going to get it, what they're going to get, and who's not going to get it.
Okay. Well, right now, the circulation center is roughly right in here, and it's a rather broad one, and it's actually elongated way to the south as well. There's very strong winds, gale force winds way down here, so even though we may have landfall here in another few hours, you're going to have some very strong winds on the east side of this system for the next 12 or even maybe 24 hours as those strong winds come in, and of course high surf as well. On the west side, not much in the way of rain, not much in the way of wind. The wind will be offshore. There will be virtually no surge. The only wave run-up, or the wave water level rise, will be associated with breaking waves, and that'll be on the order of about 2 feet. All the action is going to be at and east of the center, which is basically over in here. And right now, the way the system's moving and where the strongest winds are, it looks like Cape San Blas is probably the area that is going to be hit probably the hardest with the storm surge right now, or just to the east of that. So if you're in the low-lying area there, and or in a boat anywhere in that vicinity, I would strongly suggest you evacuate that area within the next few minutes if it's safe to do so.
What about power outages, not only at the coast but inland, with persistent 30, 40 mile per hour winds and higher gusts, even up into Tallahassee and Thomasville, Georgia, for example?
Yeah, that's quite a possibility, especially with a lot of tall trees around that can fall on power lines. A lot of trees in that area, and high winds, and especially if we get quite a bit of rain in that area, where it loosens up the roots a little bit, makes the soil moist, they're going to topple over, and we should have some power outages there as the system moves to the northeast.
Steve, we've just made contact with Bill Keneally, who's standing by live for us in Panama City, where I understand wind gusts are over 50 miles an hour. Bill Keneally, we've got you by phone. You must be experiencing some strong winds right now. What's it look like out there?
That is correct, Dave. I want to clarify something. You're mentioning the winds of Panama City. That is inland at the airport over the city of Panama City on the beaches. I would be convinced that the winds are probably 60, gusting 75 to 80 miles per hour at times. But the reason we're not showing you any video this go-around, Dave, it's raining so hard that it is actually attenuating the signal. So even with all this wattage going up, we cannot penetrate the rain. That rain shield is keeping our signal from getting out there on the air, unfortunately. But the rain is incessant. The winds are probably, like I said, 60, probably gusting as high as 80, maybe up to 85 miles per hour right now. It looks as though, as Steve said, the surge, thankfully, though, is not too bad. It does appear that we're holding an east wind, so hopefully we can keep the water repelled with that slight push offshore. But again, the worst of it looks like is upon us, Dave, right at this hour.
Bill Keneally, thanks a lot. Hang on there. There may be some power out where you are shortly. I hope you have your flashlight ready. We'll get back with you later on, see whether conditions have changed. Well, Dr. Lyons, 80 to 85 mile per hour winds We can find him on our radar right now.
That's right. He's sitting over roughly somewhere in here right on the beach, and the circulation center is out to sea, but he's in a very, very strong squall of showers and thunderstorms right now, and those showers are bringing the strong winds all the way down to the surface. And that's why he's got the very strong winds. And as the system moves north of him, he's going to be pretty much out of the weather here in another 3 to 4 hours, but he has not quite seen the worst of it yet.
Just received a report. Panama City Airport, not far from where Bill is, nearly 2 inches of rain in less than 1 hour. So it is terrible out there in the Florida panhandle here tonight, and we urge you to just stay put and make sure that you have some kind of alternate source of power, because the power just may be out. Now, to the west side of this storm, our hurricane, where there were hurricane warnings in effect yesterday, as you said, it's pretty quiet, just some surf, and we've got live video of the surf. We're looking at Gulf Shores, Alabama here, Dr. Lyons.
Okay, there you see it, and of course, very high surf there, and that'll continue to pound the coast there for the next day and a half, and that'll keep the water level above average, about 2 or 3 feet. You can see it brushing up against the coastline there, producing some erosion and also some local flooding right in the immediate coast, even though there's no wind. The wind is actually offshore, blowing from land to sea there.
So pretty impressive, even on the backside of this thing. It's going to take a couple of days for the water to finally drain back out into the Gulf of Mexico. Well, okay. There is another aspect to this hurricane. Tornadoes over Florida. Check on the radar. I've got some warnings I want to impart to you. A tornado warning is in effect for western Putnam County in northeast Florida. Tornado warning in effect for southern Alachua County. That's where Gainesville is. Island Grove, Grove Park, and Hawthorne in the way of this tornadic thunderstorm. And for extreme eastern Franklin and Wakulla County in northern Florida, a tornado warning is in effect. A tornado watch is in effect for the entire area. So this is a hurricane that's moving on shore, and it's got major impacts. The latest information, 100-mile-per-hour winds and new pressure, I understand.
Yeah, we just got a aircraft vortex message, 985 millibars, and the center location is at 29.3 north, 86.5 west.
Dr. Lyons, thanks so much. This is an evolving situation, a very rough night for our friends in the western Florida Panhandle and in Florida because of those tornadoes in northern Florida.
That's right. Take it very seriously and protect yourself.
Good advice. And keep in touch with us, too, here on the Weather Channel, of course, or at our online service at weather.com. Now, I'll tell you what. There's more weather in the country. There was a tornado warning in effect in Los Angeles just a couple of hours ago. And where is the moisture from Hurricane Earl going to end up? On the East Coast? We think so. Here's Paul Emick with some of those stories.
That's right. Good stories, good questions, too. Also, another day of record heat for the Southwest and throughout California, in addition to the storms. And there may be more relief coming in from the Gulf of California. We'll have that story in the forecast coming up.